down that game between Gilas and Saudi Arabia. Early morning, 12 midnight. Joining us right now to go all out on this story on a Monday is basketball analyst Juan Banal, the birthday boy. Ay, tapos na pala. Happy birthday, Juan B.
Thank you. One month celebration, I assume.
Padala ka naman ng pagkain dito. Joke lang. Joke lang. How was your birthday weekend, Juan B? Good, good.
It was pretty good. Wakanda forever.
Yo.
That's how I celebrated my birthday.
But I'm assuming you did watch the Gilas and Saudi game at 12 midnight.
I had to. You invited me first thing in the Monday morning. I had to watch the Gilas game. No, but obviously supporting our Gilas Filipinas is always a pleasure to do.
And your initial thoughts on that win against Saudi last night? It is different from that fourth window kung saan tinambakan natin na almost 40 points yung score noon, 84-46. And we struggled a bit, pero importante doon, we got the win. I want to get your thoughts on that game.
Initially, we did struggle. I think Scotty Thompson in the interview mentioned, the turnovers in the first quarter, first half. But you have to understand, it's technically still a completely different ball game. Number one, you didn't have Jordan Clarkson. So we spoke about this last time we had this interview, and I said that the Jordan Clarkson factor is big, the intimidation factor. Anytime he wanted to score, at the end of the day, he's still an NBA player and not just an ordinary NBA player, right? So the Jordan Clarkson factor was out of the way. And then also the mentality, I think. Because nga tinambakan natin nung last time na nagkita tayo, there is some level of confidence that you kind of had to brush off. Reality hit them when they realized that obviously the dynamics is different this time around. So buti na lang, they picked up. I think the good thing about this is that, again, it was defense that really played a crucial role. We limited the Saudi Arabian team in the second quarter to only 9 points. We did that also to Jordan in the third quarter, which we limited them to 10 points. So I think when you talk about maturity, that's really what it's all about, not being able to allow yourself na matambakan. The biggest run that they had in this ball game was just 6 straight points. So that's as far as they went. We were able to arrest it immediately and then also make our run. So that's a sign of maturity, I would say.
Talagang kita dun yung, di ba, lalo na nung humahabol yung nag-rally. Itong Saudi, they were hitting big threes, but then Gilas would make big plays. So maturity is there. Yung composed, di ba? Pinakitang hindi sila kinabahan against a Saudi team. Nabanggit mo nga yung Jordan Clarkson factor. Wala dun yung intimidation factor. We won here by 13 points. But still, a win is a win. Will you nitpick this one na tipong kung ikukumpara natin from the last window, ininitpick mo ba na kaya naman natin tambakan to bakit di natin natambakan tong Saudi last night?
Like I said, we treat every game differently. The composition of the team, the dynamics of the team, that's always going to play a factor. Plus, even if we had so many Filipinos kababayans in Saudi who cheered for us, that's still the home court, diba? Iba pa rin yung playing in our own home court, home crowd, as in absolutely just a different feel. But for me, the mentality na tinambakan natin there's a tendency to relax even if sabi mo you over-prepare, but the mentality is still there until reality hits you, diba? You can plan as much as you want, but until you get hit in the face, then it changes everything. So for them, coming to this ball game, you still have that inkling, that back-end feeling in your head na kayang-kaya to, tinalo na, sobrang laki nga ng tambak, dali-dali lang ng last game. But then, they were also in for a shock na they realized, oops, iba pa pala to. We have to treat them. Even if they said they had tremendous respect for Saudi, you still had that in the back of your head. So when reality hit them, butin lang, we had enough time to really gather ourselves, pick us up, and say, okay, let's play this game as if, let's just be present in the present, And so I think we saw that in this ball game.
Pag-usapan natin si R.R. Pugoy dahil, fans, alam mo naman, ang dami din laging mga bashers sinasabi, ba't nandiyan pa si Pugoy? But Pugoy proved he deserves to be part of this lineup. He hit big threes last night, 13 points, 5 of 12 from the field, and 3 from downtown, 3 of 7 to be exact, in 22 minutes of play. And parang nawala siya for quite some time dito sa Gilas equation kasi nga, syempre, ang daming wings di ba? You have the Ravenna brothers, you have the B-League boys, you have Bobby Ray Parks Jr., you have 30 and Kiefer there. Dwight Ramos. But here, Pugoy proved that he deserves to be part because that combination when Scotty Thompson drives or any of the guards drive, aabang si Pugoy, and we know how RR loves the corner threes. Do you think we should consider again having RR Pugoy back in this Gilas lineup moving on to the 6th window, and who knows, maybe even in the World Cup?
I think it's just but right to give him that because remember when we had to change a completely different lineup when Coach Shot came in and he had to bring in the TNT boys. One of the mainstays in that team is RR Pugoy, and we had to kind of put all the heavy weight lifting and the shoulders and the pressure of leading a team because he's one of the mainstays on his shoulders. And I think that kind of got to him. But eventually, when we started experimenting with different lineups, that pressure was relieved from him. You know, having to perform and carry the team on his shoulders. Even if it wasn't explicitly mentioned, I'm sure at some point kinakausap siya at sinabi, oh, ikaw yung isa sa mga veterano na talaga, ikaw yung isa sa mga asahan. And that's a very heavy weight to carry. But when people started showing up and really also delegating and sharing that weightlifting, I think he was able to be more in his element. We saw him posting up. We saw him making those corner threes. That's the RR Pugoy that we see in TNT. And in terms of efficiency, we talk about Scotty, we talk about Kai. In the last game against Saudi, Scotty and Kai had 40 plus 14 in terms of efficiency. Same with RR Pugoy. He also had plus 14 in efficiency. So that speaks a lot that if we mention Scotty, if we mention Kai, then we also have to mention RR Pugoy. And if we're keeping Scotty and Kai, then we have to keep the likes of RR Pugoy in the team.
How about Kai Soto? Ibang klase siya dito here in the 5th window. 16 points in that game against Jordan. And then here, he did score 11 points, almost a double-double, grabbing 9 rebounds. Ito yung malaking 5 blocks. This is what a Kai Soto can do, the Kai Soto effect. Kung wala yung Jordan Clarkson intimidation factor 1, meron naman tayong Kai Soto 7-3 intimidation factor. Basing on what we've seen on Kai, obviously, last Friday, I remember, sinasabi mo yung confidence. Even Gabe Norwood was saying that Thursday, diba, when we had him on the show, the confidence of Kai. And here it is, he is developing, maturing, and being so confident on the world stage with all the experiences he's had sa NBL, sa Adelaide, sa G League. Iba-iba eh. Ang dami niyang, kumbaga, ibang Kai Soto na to eh. Pero, if we're going to look into his game, what else do you want Kai to improve on, especially heading into the 6th window of the qualifiers and also lalo na dun sa World Cup?
I think it benefited Kai that Scotty was in the lineup because Scotty was so used to playing with the likes of Japet Aguilar, so he knows how to find the big guys. And I think what really changed a lot for Kai was his the maturity came in when he didn't force any shots. Like he didn't have to create so much early on when he joined Gilas. Parang the pressure of, oh, he's played internationally, he's an NBA prospect and all that. I think it got to his head. That's why there are a lot of times when he had to, do extra without having to do extra. And I think that really painted the wrong picture of Kai. But now that I think his teammates, I think the confidence is mutual. Meaning his teammates had confidence in Kai and Kai had confidence in his teammates and confidence in himself. And that was very much evident in the game. He knows how to place himself in a position in the floor wherein his teammates will will have an easier time of finding him. And I think the baskets came easier because of that. He didn't have to force any shots. It was all a lot of creating for each other. And, time will come when, iba naman muna gagawa. We did expect that in this ball game, that he won't make as much as he did in the previous ball games. We mentioned that in the last interview because I think, it's all coming together wherein everyone's now just sharing the opportunity, sharing the basketball, and just not forcing anything. And I think siguro for Kai, it's more of that, right? Being able to create more for his teammates because now definitely he's a threat. And being able to play well with other bigs. Like if there's a need for us to play really huge, a huge lineup, then how does he play with others? Him creating for his other teammates, let's say Poy Era or Ange Kwame. How can he? What will the dynamics look like? So being that versatile of a player will be very much welcome if Kai makes those adjustments.
Juan, stay where you are. Don't go anywhere. We still have a lot to talk about. Gilas Pilipinas sweeping the 5th window of the qualifiers. And stay tuned because our conversation with Juan Banal will continue after the break. Sports Desk will be right back only here on CNN Philippines. Welcome back to Sports Desk only here on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, basketball analyst Juan Banal, and Juan and I have been discussing Gilas Pilipinas sweeping the fifth window of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. And the latest with that victory, 13-point win over Saudi Arabia early morning today, 12 midnight. One after these two victories against Jordan, against Saudi, all away games. How will this make SBP's haters, bashers, critiques stop dun sa mga sinasabing ano ba naman yan, Gilas, ganito? Is this something that we can say na, oh, we're working now, we're winning? Can we chalk this up to, we're in the right direction heading towards the World Cup?
I think that's one upside, Andre. The moment you see wins, you know that you're doing the right thing. There's something right that's going on. And they did say that this is all, really preparing for 2023. So, there's a thing in the business world called build, test, learn, right? The lean startup model. It's really being able to build, test, and learn. And having the opportunity and the luxury of having to do that is really an advantage for SBP. And so, they take the losses, they take the wins, all as learning opportunities to build and prepare for 2023. I'm sure they haven't lost sight of their goal. And so, but the good thing is at least there are already signs that they're headed in the right direction. Because if by now and we still aren't winning and we have one more window remaining, that's going to be a scary situation for SBP. So now, at least pieces are coming together, things are being more clear, and at least you can say that they're on the right direction.
No, medyo nabanggit mo na rin, yung, di ba, dami mga Pinoy, tinan mo, every time nung nakadunk ka si Kai, parang nasa Araneta lang di ba? Parang home crowd, parang home court victory, home court advantage ito din sa Saudi. Alam naman natin, ang dami natin mga kababayan, di ba, sa Middle East. But let's talk about that as well, Juan. How important is that? Especially, alam natin, pagdating sa February, it will be sold out here when we take on Lebanon, that rematch against Lebanon, and then against Jordan. Gaano kalaking bagay na di ba may mga, kumbaga yung crowd nandun at nadadala. Kumbaga, si Scotty, sanay na dyan He never, pero yung, di ba, the whole team really cheering Gilas.
Well, you take the good and the bad, di ba, with the bad, di ba? So, alam mo naman na you're gonna receive a lot of hate when you're losing from the Filipino fans, but you're gonna receive so much love. Ang Filipinos, ang daming sasabihin online, pero makikita mo, paglaro na, nandyan sila. They show up, and they're diehard, and they're gonna cheer for you, diba? So, you take everything with it, the good and the bad, and it's just a testament to how passionate we are as Filipinos, how basketball seems to be really a religion here, diba? We take these things seriously. Everyone's got an opinion about it, but when they need us, they do show up. So, and regardless of where we are in the world, so there are Filipinos, kahit ano pa yan, 1/10 of the population in the arena, they will be the loudest and screaming fans out there. And, that's just part and parcel of having that Laban Pilipinas, that Puso spirit in everyone. And so, it's always welcome. We're excited for the next window, for really performing and playing in front of the home crowd. Obviously, that's going to be an advantage for us. We saw that also as, we played against Saudi, di ba? Ibang-iba talaga pagka doon sa home nila versus sa home natin. So, ganun talaga yung element ng having people behind you. So, again, you gotta love our fans. Ganun talaga. They hold you accountable. And because they love the sport and they love the country. Period.
One, tingin mo ito, kasi alam naman natin, pasok na tayo sa World Cup Tayo yung isa sa mga host, di ba? Pagdating sa FIBA World Cup. So can we play around with the roster pagdating dito sa next window, sa sixth window here at home? Or dapat bang hindi pa? Kasi mabibigat din against Lebanon. And of course, gusto bumawi nitong Gilas against Lebanon. Wala tayong Clarkson when that time comes because he's still playing in the NBA.
I think with one window remaining, I think you're going to be less risk-taking, I would say, because you don't fix something that's not broken. So winning the past few games, is already pointing to the direction that we're headed. So I don't think they're going to be making much changes. I think the real question will be who to field in terms of naturalized player. Do we have the option of really fighting for Justin Brownlee and see how that works out in the sixth window? Or do we stick to guys like Ange Kwame who can fill in the role? Or, in the World Cup, the dynamics of having a Jordan Clarkson, di ba? So I think that's really the question that will be asked. Who to field, because the rest of the pieces, the locals, you kind of have already a clear picture of where we're headed, who to play, who to field, how they work together. Because you don't want to create another problem in the sixth window wherein chemistry is already forming. Diba? So you kind of want to ride on the momentum of the chemistry of keeping the core team, and then the rest, just tweaks and basically seeing what will work for us for the 2023 FIBA World Cup.
Binanggit mo na Juan si Justin Brownlee, and kanina nga, it was one of our top stories. Talagang desididong SBP na naturalize si Brownlee na umabot pagdating ng February. What will Brownlee bring to the team? Yung advantage of having, of course, youth, hindi na ganun kabata si Justin, but of course, having a Justin Brownlee compared to, let's say, having a young but a big Ange Kwame. Of course, Clarkson nga nung last time, pero hindi nga pwede dahil busy sa NBA season. But having a Justin Brownlee, kung siya yung maging naturalized player natin dito. And remember, teammates niya sa Ginebra din, nandyan, Scottie Thompson, Japet Aguilar, Jamie Malonzo.
I guess we'll start with what we're going to be losing. If we feel Justin Brownlee, then we're losing Ange Kwame. So that means we're getting a little bit shorter. So we're going to depend on others, because you can see that Ange Kwame did play significant minutes in the last few ball games, and again, be a good reliever for Kai. So that means we're going to have to look to other people to play that post area, or that big who's going to be in the shaded area. Ange Kwame played good defense also. So who's going to make up for it if Kai's in the bench? If we're going to field Justin Brownlee, before we even talk about the positives of Justin Brownlee, what's going to happen to Gilas if we do field him and hindi mawawala? Now, if we bring in Justin Brownlee, I think evidently, we did mention in the last few interviews, Andre, that ang pinaka-senior na dito is really Japet Aguilar, diba?
Yeah.
And so having a Justin Brownlee, who's probably more senior, a veteran player in Justin Brownlee, can help maintain those composures, because do expect that, especially when we face Lebanon, they're not going to go down easily, right? Even if there was a smaller margin, we did have Jordan Clarkson, but that's still a very, very tough lineup. And you want to also be able to test out a Justin Brownlee, because siya na lang yung halos hindi pa natin nasusubukan talaga na isama sa lineup, and see how that's going to work out. We also don't know the composition if we're going to add younger guys like sina Carl Tamayo. So mas bababa yung mean or yung medium nung age bracket natin. So having a Justin Brownlee can also kind of create that balance in the lineup. So it's a good experiment to have in the sixth window. But you really have to ask yourself at this point in the preparation time, wherein you have one more window and one lifeline ka na lang bago yung actual game, diba? Susugal mo ba? So we'll see. I think it's good to see and find out the impact of a Justin Brownlee to this kind of lineup.
Well, medyo pareho naman sila ng laro din, kasi si Clarkson, of course, wing din, pero syempre Jordan is an NBA player and mas bata. But ito, wishlist mo moving forward to the sixth window sa February. Juan, sino yung wishlist mo? Yung you wanna see play for Gilas come the sixth window when we take on Lebanon and Jordan?
In all honesty, the last few games, it's really a pleasure to see how resilient our players were. I mean, just the way they're attacking the rim, right? Like very, determined, hindi bumibigay, hindi magpapatalo, binabangga, nakakagawa ng paraan. And so you can see how highly skilled our players are from all angles. And defensively, they're being able to make those stops and picking, just making sure that the runs don't extend. And so, in all honesty, it's really more of keeping the core, whatever we have right now, just build on it. A couple of tweaking. Kasi, again, the time that we prepare will spell a whole lot of difference. Siyempre, before that Feb window, I hope we have enough ample time to prepare. By that time, siguro, tapos na rin yung UAAP season, yung NCAA season, tapos na rin yung, other tournaments. I think ang NBA ang ongoing, so we won't have Jordan Clarkson during that time. So mas may time to prepare and really to test it out. But really, really little changes is what I'm expecting because you can't fix what's not broken. Too risky at this point because you only have one last window remaining. So very little, lesser risk. Very calculated risk are the things that you're going to be taking in the sixth window.
Juan, pag-guest ka talaga namin, kaya full show. Kaya nga 1 hour yung show. Maraming salamat sa'yo. You make our jobs easier, Juan Banal. Belated happy birthday to you again. Have a great week ahead. Thank you. And we will be speaking to you again soon. That was basketball analyst Juan Banal and Juan and I discussing Gilas Pilipinas sweeping the fifth window of the World Cup qualifiers.